Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from paulthepoke.com. We are one day away, really about 24 hours from Yom Kippur. Traditional Hebrew year, 5786, 5950 on your Essene or Dead Sea Scroll calendar, and 2025 on your Western Gregorian calendar. So we're going to talk a little bit about linen garments in Yom Kippur. Also, we have a British digital ID, and we also have Nigeria, persecution in Nigeria. So, scripture reference, Leviticus 16:4, he shall put on the holy linen coat, and shall have the linen undergarment on his body, and he shall tie the linen sash around his waist, and wear the linen turban. These are the holy garments. He shall bathe his body in water, then put them on. So ceremonially be clean, wash the sin off, if you will. And we're going to have some tie-in with all of this stuff later on in the post. So Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, it is the busiest day of the year for the high priest. These are the instructions for the high priest before he enters the holy place in the temple. And Exodus 28 gives instructions for the priestly garments. The clothing for the priest is to be made of linen. Exodus 28 verse 5, thou shalt take gold and the blue and the purple and the scarlet material and the fine linen. So the idea is stated 7 more times in Exodus. Priestly garments are of linen. That's made pretty clearly. We saw that in Leviticus 16:4. We're going to get it for a total of 8 times in Exodus 28. Priestly garments are linen. Has prophetic implications with one Jesus and ultimately us. Jumping way ahead to Revelation. When we rule and reign with Christ, we get linen garments in heaven. So, factor that. So currently, there is a high priest in the heavenly tabernacle. He is of the order of Melchizedek. Hebrews 6 verse 20, where Jesus has entered as a forerunner, so he's going before us, having become a high priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. So I guess we will be kind of grafted into the order of Melchizedek as kings and priests. So we'll be a priest as a believer. But before going to heaven to be at the right hand of the Father, Christ, the high priest, was buried in, you guessed it, linen. Matthew 27 verse 59, and Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen cloth. You can also see Mark 15:46 and Luke 23 verse 53. Again, priestly garments, linen. So a lot of times when you see linen, it's reference to priesthood. One way to think about that. So jumping forward to John 20 verse 17, Jesus says to her being Mary Magdalene, do not touch me, for not yet have I ascended to the Father. Now go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God. So this is after his death, but before his ascension, right after he is resurrected, Christ was clean and free of sin. He was resurrected in his glorious body. He had become a sin offering at the cross. He had overcome death or sin with his resurrection. So that current glorified body that he was in had no sin. It was perfect. And again, Christ was speaking with Mary Magdalene. Now, because of her history, we know she was a sinful woman. But, and I'd also mention, it's not to pick on Mary. As humans, any of us, we are all sinful. And I suspect Jesus would have said the same thing to any of us if we were in Mary's place. He would be like, hey, don't touch me. He does not need to come in contact with sin. At that point in time, Jesus' resurrected body could not come in contact with sin before going to the heavenly tabernacle. Jesus entered heaven free of sin in his glorified body. So, you follow that same argument. The wage of sin is death. And so what does the law say? You can't be in touch with, do not touch a dead body. Well, that was Jesus, even in his glorified state, held true to the law. He went before the Father, sinless, free of sin, did not touch sin, had no sin in him. And Christ presented himself clean and pure before God the Father in the heavenly holy place, is the idea. So, the high priest, Jesus is our high priest. And Yom Kippur, busiest day for the high priest. And at some point in the future, Jesus will be the very busy example of the high priest on Yom Kippur. And that also ends, the season of Teshuvah. And on Yom Kippur, literally face to face with Christ. And that's the idea of it. We've had our backs turned to him. And during the 40-day period of Teshuvah, the idea was to draw nearer and closer to God to eventually be face to face with God the Son. And with that, we will transition to Revelation 13, verses 16 through 17. And the second beast, not the Antichrist, but the second beast, required all people, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. So the second beast, or the false prophet, will get people to take the mark. And the mark is the name of the beast, or the number of its name. So, effectively, economic activity tied to the mark. Well, Britain is now tying economic activity to digital identification. Now, this has also been bantered around in Australia at times during COVID. I mean, the idea is clearly out there in our world, tying identification to economic activity. We've even had some places here in the United States where, if you are a member of a certain group or persuasion, you were not allowed to engage in certain credit cards or economic activities. So that stuff is spreading. And the Brits, in the name of security and of illegal immigration, of course, we want to make sure we know who's coming in and out of our country, whatever. You've created the problem by allowing all these people into your country, and now the solution to the problem you created is let's watch everybody like a hawk, except for the people who shouldn't be here in the first place. And so let's give our people a digital identity so we can keep a close eye on them. Okay, that's what they're going to do. Prime Minister Starmer, you won't be able to work in the UK without having a digital ID. Lots of people very upset about this. And I think they've got like a year or so before this is all phased in, or it starts getting phased in within a year or something, or they're bringing it to a vote. Well, he's out there. He's talking about it. He's pushing it. I mean, that idea in Revelation 13, now granted, that's in the back half of the 7-year tribulation, and I'm of the opinion it hasn't even started. I mean, so it's yet future, so it, is Prime Minister Starmer, is he the false prophet? No, he's not the Antichrist either. But you can see where humanity is, in the name of peace and security or safety or whatever you want to say. Hey, we need to restrict some of your freedom. We need to be able to watch you and track you to keep you safe, is effectively what these people are trying to tell us. It's crazy talk, but it is what it is, and it is coming, and we have shades of it happening in our world as we speak. So don't kid yourself to think that this is not possible or can't happen. It's starting to happen in certain parts of the world. And with that, 2 Timothy 3:12, indeed, all who desire to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. If you follow Jesus, you will be persecuted. Anybody who follows Jesus knows that, should know that. Jesus himself tells us this. 2 Timothy gets stated. Okay. And of all people who, are going to tell us about this. No, I don't want that. Thank you. It's Bill Maher. He's an atheist. And he makes the comment, we'll switch over to that. Bill Maher delivers a surprising moment on air as he calls out the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria that the media refuses to cover. Quoting Bill Maher, if you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You're in a bubble. I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this? Great question. Maher's diatribe drew a huge reaction from the crowd and a big thank you from Representative Nancy Mace for bringing it up. Absolutely, he responds. Isn't that amazing? So we have an atheist, essentially pointing out the hypocrisy of the mainstream media. It's only certain types of people being persecuted, killed, whatever, that draws attention in the quote news. But yet, you've got over 100,000 Christians being killed. Crickets. Nothing. And he's talking about Boko Haram. That's a terrorist organization, kind of an offshoot of ISIS, I believe it is. But, he's accurate to point these things out. And here you have it. An atheist talking about the persecution of Christians. So, at any rate, that's all we got. Now, we do have some things happening as we speak. Allegedly big peace plan or plans to end the war between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Appears Hamas is backed into a corner, is going to be headed out one way or another. And then we also have Greta and her friends on the high seas will be getting close to Israel. They're supposed to arrive on Yom Kippur as well. So we've got some things probably be posting again tomorrow. I'm expecting some sort of big ticket event to take place. Oh, that'd be tomorrow, and then I think we got 4 days later on Tabernacles. I mean, this could be a busy week just with things happening, and we'll see what happens. Appreciate you guys following along. Please feel free to share with others. Appreciate the thoughtful comments, the shares, commentary on social media sites. Hopefully this is a place where we can have some constructive discussion, free flow exchange of ideas, etc. Much appreciated for all you folks who do that. Y'all take care. Be in touch. Bye.